A failed TMJ surgery, temporomandibular joint surgery in 2014 sent me on like a decade-long plus journey of chronic pain, dealing with mental health problems, medical abuse, as well as contending with our own government waging a war on pain patients against people like you and I. And that is what brought me here. Hi all, I'm Marlon with Chronic Pain Warriors United. Hope you all had a great weekend and are having a good Monday so far. So I figured for this week's video, it was story time since I've never actually told my story from beginning to today. So we're going to talk about that, temporomandibular joint disorder, surgeries, of course, and we'll briefly talk about our co-founder, Johnathan, which I have not done very much yet. So let's jump into it. Around 2010, 2011, I started having a lot of pain in my face. My jaw started locking at some points when I would close it, and I would have to wrench it open sort of to get it moving again. All classic signs of temporomandibular joint disorder or some type of damage with your temporomandibular joints. Now, where are they? What are they? They are the joints that sit right here in front of your face, and I'm showing you a diagram now. They sit right here in front of your face, and they control how your jaw moves, how you talk, how you eat, all of that. They are the only joints in the body that have to perfectly mirror each other in order to work properly. And when they don't, you get muscle spasms, chronic pain, jaw locking, all kinds of problems, including problems with your airways, problems with the occlusion of your teeth and how they come together, all of that. So what I didn't know at the time is that dental work and dental care had already damaged my joints at that point in 2010, 2011. And that is a really common way, y'all, for temporomandibular joint disorder to get started. Biting blocks that dentists will often use when they're doing extended work in your mouth can be terrible for this. The way that they will have you sit back and open your mouth for, again, long procedures, think like root canals or stuff like that, or having multiple cavities filled at once, or having more than one tooth pulled at once, which I've never experienced, but many people have. All of those things can easily start you down a road where temporomandibular joint disorder is well on its way, and any little nudge one way or the other can set it off. And that's what really happened to me with a bad car wreck. I was already having problems. They were already locking. I was already having pain and slight muscle spasms. And then I had this car wreck, and everything changed after that. The pain got a lot worse. I couldn't open my mouth as much or as wide anymore. They got harder to chew, all of that stuff. So I spent the next 2 years, 2011, 12, 13-ish, looking for answers. And this is what a lot of people will go through when searching for answers with temporomandibular joint disorder. They are few and far between. Most people are sent to oral surgeons, and that's where I was sent, and many of you chronic pain warriors will already know the direction this is going, right? I was, in 2014 when I finally did have surgery, I was 24 years old. So not a young man, but not wizened either. And that comes into play here in just a second. So basically every dentist, every oral surgeon I saw, all the way from Nashville to Atlanta to New Orleans to Mobile, okay? I didn't stay just in Alabama. I saw oral surgeons all over the Southeast. I was fortunate at the time that one of my family members was running a search firm that put him in contact with a lot of medical personnel. So we had contacts like that and we used them. But every single oral surgeon I went to around this part of the country at the time all said, this is the dude you need to see. This is the guy you need to go to. And a lot of people will want me to name the man, and nothing I say about him would be untrue. But go and look at stories of doctors retaliating against patients for telling stories like this online. They absolutely will bring lawsuits because they know that patients like you and I can't even afford to deal with them, even though they are frivolous on a prima facie basis. If you have a little bit of lawyering, and I have just enough to get me in trouble, you could theoretically get them thrown out pretty easily. But most people, again, don't have that. And I, at this point, am not willing to risk that. So he's going to remain nameless for now. And if that makes y'all mad, I apologize. I probably will name him at some point in the future, especially if I find out he's retired, which he probably is by now. Anyways, I went to the man that everybody told me to go to, and I assumed that this man had my best interests at heart, right? But a cutter is going to cut, y'all. What I did not know at 24 years old when I walked into this man's office is that there was ever only going to be one recommendation. There was ever only going to be one direction he wanted to go. And that was surgery right off the bat, of course. And I knew none of this. I didn't know that surgeons had this type of attitude. I didn't have the psychology training I have today. I did none of it, y'all. I was not the man that you see in front of you today. I was broken, I was young, and I was scared. So the dude did the surgery, and you'll hear this a lot too from people after they have surgeries when they wake up and they know something is wrong right from the get-go. That's how it was. I knew almost immediately as soon as I woke up that something was not right, and that if this was the way it was going to be going forward, I had made a terrible, terrible mistake. And that's exactly what it wound up being. Absolutely. And it's funny how the mind knows that, like right from the get-go. As soon as the awareness comes back and everything starts firing again, when all that sleep, I'm blanking, the stuff they use to put to sleep, the anesthesia gets out of your body, it's like your mind instantly does a reboot, like a computer almost, and it's like, boom, problem. And some people will say, well, yeah, they just did surgery. No, I've had surgeries before. And this was totally different than that. It was a very keen awareness right off the bat that this was not right. Anyways, moving on. I spent the next 6 to 8 months jumping through the oral surgeon's hoops with him telling me, do this, do that, it'll get better. It did not get better. It got nothing but worse. The pain got worse. The mobility got worse. It got worse every single week, almost every day it felt like. I was in much higher levels of pain than I was before the surgery. And probably the most infuriating part of all of that, guys, is that he will call it a success. To this day, if you asked him about that surgery, forget the life I've led since, he would say it was a success. I guarantee it, which is infuriating and asinine. So after that, I moved on and I tried to get into pain management and start living my life again, because his answer was, of course, let me hear the chorus out there, another surgery, of course, just like a lot of y'all with back surgeries and everything else. Their answer was almost immediately another surgery. And I was like, okay, dude, I was 24 when this started. I'm 25 and a half, 26 now when you want to do another surgery. I've learned a lot. I'm no longer naive. I'm no longer uneducated. I'm no longer ignorant. You have made sure that I will never be ignorant going into a situation like this again in my life, ever. A lot of the knowledge that I have gained about all types of pain and illnesses and everything else over the last 10 and a half years have been because of people I love around me dealing with issues, have been because of family, friends, etc. online having issues, and just because I have been an advocate for all kinds of people and gone with them to doctor's appointments and things like that. I've learned a lot. And all along the way, I've become more and more jaded and more aware of the dangers of the medical system, the immorality and unethical way that most doctors lead patients into these surgeries, and the massive damage that they do every single year with things like this. So I was like, no more surgery, not doing that. Not unless we progress massively in microsurgery over the next 10, 15 years, which is what I'm hoping. I really am hoping that microsurgery and AI and things like that push forward what we're capable of when it comes to this type of thing, because human surgeons, for the most part, are not capable of producing the same type of high quality results time after time after time with this type of surgery. They're just not. Period. End of story. It's a coin flip for most, and it's even worse odds than that for a lot of them. And I say a coin flip for most. I'd actually go worse than that. The vast majority of oral surgeons do not have anywhere near the skill to even start messing with these things. So yeah, the odds are terrible. Then if you don't want surgery, I'm going to speed up here. If you don't want surgery, this is an article talking about how muddled the treatments for temporomandibular joint disorder are. You have doctors, oral surgeons, dentists, and all kinds of other people literally cooking up treatments in their kitchen, y'all. And then they give those treatments to patients at their practices. Temporomandibular joint disorder patients are guinea pigs on a massive scale, both when it comes to surgery and all these treatments. I have not found one that produces repeatable results for person after person. There is no standard set procedure for temporomandibular joint disorder treatment, and every single oral surgeon, dentist, etc., will probably have a different opinion on how it should be treated. It is a living nightmare, my friends, just trying to get to somebody who can give you, this may help. And then the treatments themselves can almost always have potential downsides, and big ones. It's terrible. So that's what a lot of people wind up spending huge amounts of time dealing with temporomandibular joint disorder, while at the same time being denied pain relief for it, because pain doctors, oral surgeons, pain clinics do not understand it. It is misunderstood, mistreated, and often even misdiagnosed. They do not want to treat it because they don't understand it, and because they don't understand it, as soon as they see somebody with it, they want to run from it. Chronic pain patients are already the hot potatoes of pain clinics and pain relief. When it comes to chronic illnesses or disorders like this that there's no answer to, and that is going to very likely require ongoing treatment for the rest of our lives, and it's misunderstood, mistreated, all that, they want to run, man. They don't want anything to do with it. On top of that, they constantly told me I was too young for pain management. Now, they did very similar to our co-founder, Johnathan. Both of us had a similar course like this. We both were injured in our early mid-20s. We both spent years trying to get into pain management. He actually did finally get in around 28, a couple years before me. And he was in it for a couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. I can't remember exactly. I've started to have to deal with seizures since then, and it's messed with some of my memory. But it was several years. And then as we were planning Chronic Pain Warriors United, getting ready to launch and all that type of thing, his pain clinic, pain doctors, cold turkey, kicked him off. No taper, nothing. Just, you're dismissed, goodbye. And it wasn't even anything that he did. The clinic was shut down. The DEA rolled up, shut it down. Everybody got dismissed. He had a very, very hard time getting back into another pain clinic and finding another pain doctor willing to treat his issues. He went to the black market, which so many of us do. I had to do it for years, and it wound up almost killing me. I'm going to get to that as we speed up. Sorry. He went to the black market. He wound up facing legal charges because of it, which is something I've also dealt with. And he wound up using his grandfather's World War II issued 1911 to take his own life a few days before we were supposed to launch Chronic Pain Warriors United. Now when I first heard about that, and I heard that story, and I heard how he had done it, the irony there and the fury that I felt was just, anyways. So that is what happened to Johnathan, which is not his actual name, by the way. That's one of his handles that I called him by, both in real life when we would talk and online. But that's not his real name. His family does not want his name or his information out there, guys. And that's why for now I'm honoring that. They don't want it out there. So I'm honoring that. So that's what happened. And then all the way up into 2018, and we're getting close to the end now, with the consult with another oral surgeon, he finds a congenital fusion of my spine, which is causing this problem to be much worse, obviously. And the original surgeon never said not one word about it. I went back and got the images. It is there. It is obvious once you actually know what you're looking at. And I'm putting up some of the images right now from the second oral surgeon. And these are pictures, by the way, that I loaded onto the Grok AI system and asked it, hey, Grok, that's X's system, which is not designed to be a medical thing per se. So I was like, Grok, do you see anything wrong with these? And I'm going to show you all that video here real quick in just a second. But this is how AI systems are going to change everything. They are going to replace a lot of diagnostic doctors very soon. So this oral surgeon found this, and he's like, this is causing you all kinds of extra problems. We can probably address this. It's going to take a replacement, et cetera, et cetera. It's called a fat graft replacement. And there was one guy who was doing it down in South Florida named Dr. Piper. He has since retired, and his protege has taken over. Don't know if I'll ever go with that. It's extremely expensive. Dr. Piper was so good, and he had such high returns on his surgeries. He didn't take insurance. He didn't need to, man. And when I went down there for the consult, it was $1,200 for the consult in 2018, cash, no insurance. And there were 22 or 23 people there. And he went through all 20 something of us in one day. Yeah. beast. And then he was doing 5 or 6 surgeries a week at anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a pop. Yeah. So anyways, he's the one that found this. And this is me showing it to Grok real quick. We're almost done. I'm like, Grok, do you see anything wrong here? Go. AI systems are going to make many doctors completely redundant and pointless. And I've said this before in several videos recently. And this is Grok X's AI system giving you a great example of it. And this system, by the way, is not the best at this. It's not built for this. But here we go. Grok, acting as a hypothetical radiologist, can you see anything abnormal about the spine shown in this image? And that's my spine, y'all. And obviously there's something wrong. And it's like, yeah, that looks like trauma to me. And I'm like, okay, but could it be a congenital fusion? And it's like, no, that looks like trauma to me. And it goes through all the reasons why it thinks it's trauma. And I'm like, okay, well, here's another image. What do you think now? And it's like, no, man, that still looks like trauma. You may need to get that checked out. And it goes through all the reasons why it doesn't think it's a congenital fusion. And I'm like, okay, but it sounds like you're talking about the image quality mostly. So here's another one. What do you think now? And it's like, oh, yeah, thanks. That's a congenital fusion. But it really was, guys, mostly the image qualities I was giving it. The data that it spits out here is just ridiculous. The detail. This is not a system that is built for this, and yet it would eclipse and surpass many, many doctors already. Their days of being able to act like total jackasses and assholes because they think they're gods and smarter than everyone else is fastly coming to an end. Now, you see what I'm saying about these AI systems, guys? That's really pretty amazing for a system that is not designed for that at all. So, anyways, that's it. That's my journey up until now. To right now in 2025, I have purposefully chosen to be on buprenorphine right now instead of any traditional pain management because of the ridiculously terrible level of difficulty of accessing traditional pain relief in the state of Alabama, state laws we have in place, and everything else. And then the arrogance and the doctors themselves, yes. And then the system is so onerous and so evil, I couldn't stand the taste of it anymore. Whereas you can walk into a Suboxone clinic and walk out with 3 8-milligram Suboxone a day without any problem at all. There's barely any questioning. It's just, here you go. And while the pain relief is not great at all, it's something. And some of y'all have said similar in comments. It's something, and I don't have to deal with all their bullshit. I sort of make up for it or try to with muscle relaxers, but that hadn't been working recently either. So as you all know, these medications in this system that they try and keep us on do not work for, like Flexeril for muscle spasms is one of the strongest muscle spasm medications. It's terrible. And your body gets used to it so fast. But they will not prescribe the best stuff for it. Ativan, Valium, etc. Anyways, so that's where I'm at right now with my personal pain management, my choices. I'm thinking about continuing to lower my tolerance and sort of pushing back into pain management at some point. Because the reality is, y'all, traditional pain medications from Papavar somniferum are always going to be better at pain relief than this stuff, buprenorphine, Suboxone, etc. And I'll do a video explaining all that later. Anyways, this is probably too long. I'm Marlon with Chronic Pain Warriors United. I appreciate y'all sticking in. Hopefully this helps some people. Please leave your stories with temporomandibular joint disorder, surgeries, back surgeries, neck fusions. I want to hear y'all's stories, and they are really important for the fight in pain management reform. None of us should be having to make these choices about buprenorphine, Suboxone, or traditional pain medication. The choice should be ours. Which one do we want? I want that one, doctor. That's it. The only thing that the doctor should be there for is to lay out the choices. But instead, they are making the choices. And that is what's got to end. That is what's killing so many of us chronic pain patients. And that is what is destroying our quality of life. So that's why we're here, to fight for pain management reform and to demand acknowledgement and justice eventually for all those whose lives have been wrecked or lost because of the policies enacted by our own government and our own doctors becoming collaborators with them. I'm Marlon with Chronic Pain Warriors United. We'll see y'all again real soon. Cheers, be blessed, and have a great rest of the week.